Well, this was then. They don't like your party lately. They've been kind of ticked off.
Well, I'll tell you, we have had Republicans in this legislature overwhelmingly vote against raising taxes time and time and time again.
You might not have been able to hear too well, that was a Republican state leader being heckled at a 2009 Sacramento Tea Party that I covered. This is now. Two Tea Party favorites beating Republican establishment candidates easily. We were one of the first reporting this isn't a red or blue thing. It's a green thing. My next guest is very aware of that because he said the same thing when I talked to him in Sacramento. He says, get ready for even bigger things in November. Joining me now, actor John Ratzenberger. John, good to have you back.
Neil, how are you?
Good. You know, I'm remembering what you and I chatted about out there at that first Tea Party rally I covered in California, and what's reverberating loud and clear now, that these folks are generally ticked at politicians of all stripes who don't get it.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with, you know, the original founding fathers, when they came to government, they came from real life. They came from, you know, they were farmers, but even if they were attorneys, they still had to know the rudiments of how to take care of a horse, of how to fix a fence, how to patch a roof. So there's a lot of common sense involved in that. And I think in the last maybe 40 years now, people have almost been bred to go into politics and they're bereft of any common sense that you normally pick up by working a real job. So I think really part of it is a lot of people who work real jobs and get it against people who've never worked real jobs and are in charge.
Are you surprised on that no matter how much mud they sling at either Tea Party candidates or these sensation candidates, as they called them, who, Christine O'Donnell's a good example. They raise the stuff, oh, you didn't pay your taxes, you didn't pay your college loan, so you didn't get your college degree. Then her former campaign manager comes out and says, oh, she's not really conservative. No matter how much mud they keep trying to throw, the candidates seem to win anyway. What does that tell you?
Well, I think people are fairly aware now that the press is really not a 360-degree entity. The compass is a little skewed with most of the press. I think people understand that the source they're getting the news from is a biased source by and large. So I think people pretty much ignore it.
Do they ignore this notion that Tea Partiers then are fringe, or that despite the rally after rally, the election victory after election victory, that would appear they're real? Do they ignore that talk now, or do they just, all right, well, maybe these guys are kooky?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's what was it in the American Revolution? Was it 3%? 3% of the country wanted a revolution, wanted to break the chains of the United Kingdom. So
right.
It may be exactly that.
You know, how do you succeed and do so well in Hollywood? You're in all the Pixar movies. In fact, you're always generally the favorite character in the Pixar movies. Those guys love you. Hollywood loves you. And I would not exactly call you a screaming liberal, which either gives me hope for Hollywood or you defying it.
Well, I don't pay attention to it. If I get a job, I get a job, and I don't talk politics on the set. I don't try to shove my viewpoint down anybody's throat. But having come from the background of having been a carpenter up in New England prior to becoming an actor, I'm so thankful that I can make a living at being an actor. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. But on the other hand, you know, if people say to me, well, what about your career? I always think of at Valley Forge, and because I've been there and, again, grew up in the winters of New England, and I know how cold it can get in Pennsylvania there. And I always say, well, I don't think any of the soldiers at Valley Forge stopped and paused and thought, geez, what about my career? Western civilization is at stake. And if you believe a certain thing, then stand up and say so. Whether you're right or wrong, that's the beauty of our republic, that we can do that. So that's what I do.
And you do it pretty well. John Ratzenberger, always good seeing you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks.